face it, your two backups, Rudolph and Haskins, are not the answer. So, all right, I think Green Bay is already fairly balanced. I think the problem was Mike Pettine. We hired Joe Brady. I like the hire. I think it's good stuff. We don't know what he wants to do. Is it Joe Barry or Joe Brady? Oh, it's Joe Barry. My bad. Joe Brady's the OC for the Panthers. But Joe Brady. Damn it. Joe Barry is our new defensive coordinator. I don't know what he wants to do with the defense, but I like the hire. And I think our defense is really good, though. I think Za'Darius Smith is the most underrated player in football. 12.5 sacks. He had 13 last year. That's 25 sacks in 2 years. That might be more than what T.J. Watt has in his first 2 years. In his last 2 years, my bad. So, let's look at Watt. 15 sacks this year. Oh, crap, never mind. Watt has 29.5 sacks last 2 years. Za'Darius Smith has, I believe, 26 sacks. But still, that's very close. So, Za'Darius Smith, one of the most underrated outside linebackers in the game. But, or the most, and one of, if not the most, underrated players in the game. We have Kenny Clark. He's a pretty good defensive end. Rashawn Gary showed some flashes in the postseason, or late in the late run, and we have a pretty good linebacking core. They're not terrible. I don't think we need that much work on it. We have two great safeties. Darnell Savage, 4 picks this year. Adrian Amos has proven himself. Jair Alexander, top 5 corner. Top 5, top 7, wherever you want to rank him. He's a good corner. And Kevin King, he had 5 picks just a year ago. People are forgetting that. But he's probably going to be leaving this year, so I'd say we should draft a corner or sign one. Get an edge rusher and get a slot receiver. Because our receivers, Devontae Adams, we're not going to put him in the slot. He's too useful to be in the slot. And, Scantling is 6'3" and drops every deep pass thrown to him. And Lazard is 6'5". We don't have a slot receiver to use. So we need a slot receiver, edge rusher, corner. And we already had the number 1 offense this year. So I think we're a pretty balanced team. So Watt can make us even more balanced. If anything's lopsided, it's our offense. So Watt can, balance it out kind of. So, what Green Bay has to do is, and I never minded their conservative, kind of passive, is that the right word, way of doing things? They're scared of not being relevant. And, every year they've been, every year they've had a good quarterback. The Favre era, the Starr era, and the Rodgers era, they've been relevant. When they didn't have a quarterback, they were irrelevant for 2 decades. So I see why. And I see why they drafted Jordan Love so early. So they're a little passive, but the problem is they just build from the draft. Tampa went aggressive in free agency and in the draft. They got Winfield and Tristan Wirfs. It was a win-now draft and a win-now free agency. It's time for the Packers to go into win-now mode. Rodgers is going to be 38 years old. And I think this year Rodgers proved that he can play much longer than people think. I think he can play until he's 41 or 42, tops. But get Watt. He fills a void at defensive end, and J.J. Watt is also in win now mode, as should the Packers be. And this year, even though Watt was not at his best, he was ranked 7th from Pro Football Focus. So I think J.J. Watt would be perfect for the Packers. I think the Packers would be better for him than the Steelers are. And, but I easily can see why he'd go to the Steelers. I mean, who wouldn't want to play with their family? I mean, he's been in. I've heard the 5 places I've heard him considering or 4. There's 4 places I've really heard a lot. The Bucs, because like I said, win now. They're a very attractive position, especially since they just won a championship, and they're clearly in win now mode. They proved it last year. So, Bucs is a great place for him. He's also considering the Cowboys because Texas loves him. So, I mean, and everyone in Texas should be going for him. Cowboys have a terrible defense. So, then there's the Steelers and Packers, who I genuinely think are the best for him. I think the Packers are the best. I mean, it's not like I came on this and said, the best place for Trevor Bauer is the Yankees. I mean, it wasn't. But, you know. But, alright. So, you know what? I'm just gonna play some music for the rest of this podcast. Why not? Here we go. Let's get some NBA music going. Let's get the NBA on here. Alright. So, Eagles have not been offered a first-round pick for Wentz. If you get 2 seconds for Wentz to the Colts, it's a win-win for both teams. Because you should do well on those 2 second-round picks. It's Hurts. I think Hurts is your QB. I could easily be wrong because Jalen Hurts has only played 1 year. He showed some good flashes though. And Wentz, he's done well with Frank Reich before. He'll do well with Reich again, I think. So, you know, it's a win-win for both teams. It's a good way of saying goodbye. Alright, so Trevor Lawrence is apparently going to have shoulder surgery. I think he'll be good for the, start of the season. Although I heard it's like 5 to 6 months, so that's kind of rough. But, so if it worst comes to worst, he's out until August. So he'll be ready for the regular season. I think preseason too, right? Yeah. So and honestly, I think we're in a new type of quarterback era. Now they're big. They have big arms. They can run. You know, Josh Allen, 6'6", scored 8 rushing touchdowns this year. Mahomes is ridiculously talented. Lawrence can move. He's 6'6". He has a big arm. I mean, I like where it's going. I think it's great. Like, quarterbacks are getting bigger now. Like, bigger, better arm, and they can also run. It's everything you want in a quarterback. So here's the basketball portion of it. Anthony Davis is apparently going to have an MRI. He'll be out 2 to 3 weeks. I mean, this is the last thing you want. LeBron is already leading the West in minutes, and this was supposed to be the passing of the torch for LeBron. Like, he was gonna, you know, kind of take the load off himself, make AD the focal point. Like, if you watch the finals, LeBron won Finals MVP, but AD was probably the best. I mean, you could argue he was the best player of that series, Anthony Davis. So he was supposed to pass the torch here, but LeBron is currently leading the West in minutes. So, and every superstar like LeBron needs their co-star to pop once in a while, you know, and for them to have a bit of a rest, you know? Like, there has to be a night where LeBron scores goes 21, 6-6, and AD goes for 42, 11, and 42 and 11. I'm sure they'll be okay. They got LeBron, and they can slip to third. I think the worst case scenario is they slip to third, right? Because let's look at it. Where are they right now? They're number 2. Yeah. So I think they go to third place at best. I don't think the Suns pass them. But, so if they're at third and AD's coming back, it's only mid-season, so if AD is back for the late stretch, it's perfect for them. And on top of all of it, LeBron can bolster his MVP case without AD. Because now LeBron's off of him. Like I said, Embiid is probably the only guy that can compete. And it's not a dig at Steph. It's a dig at the way they process it. Like I said, I think Curry deserves MVP. I do. I really do. And, the problem is, my only problem if they give him MVP is, they didn't give LeBron MVP, then you're not really giving, they never really give the most valuable player the MVP ever, except for when they gave it to Westbrook in 2017. He was the most valuable player, easily. But they haven't done it. You can't just switch up the voting process now just because you like Steph Curry. And, I know I sound really, biased right now, but I'm serious. You can't, like I said, Steph should easily be number 1. Or, it should be a race between him, LeBron, and Embiid. That's what it should be. In my eyes. But if they stick to the voting that they've done for years, it should be LeBron versus Embiid and nothing else. And, Embiid has help on the Sixers, and LeBron will be without his co-star. So, as long as LeBron is thriving without his co-star, he'll be good. So, let's check some of my, I make some predictions, obviously sometimes I'm right, sometimes I'm wrong. Okay, here comes the music here. Sorry, that's an ad. But,
Sigis, less sugar and more protein than the leading Greek yogurt.
Here we go. Alright, sorry about that. But, really, just because and I like Steph too. I hated Steph for a while because I'm a Cavs fan, but, he's grown on me easily, since LeBron left. I'm not a Lakers fan, but I'm a Cavs fan still. But now that the Cavs don't really have a rivalry with him anymore, he's grown on me. Because he is a good guy, and, he's never really done anything that he hasn't done anything for me to not like him, except for beat my Cavs, but, I just don't think Steph, if you're not going to give it to LeBron in 2018, or LeBron last year, then don't give it to Curry now. Now remember, I am not saying that Curry doesn't deserve it. He deserves it. And okay, I'm going to stop talking. I'm sorry. Here we go. So, I'm going to check some of my predictions. I make a lot of them. Sometimes I'm right, sometimes I'm wrong. So, here comes, I'm going to check some of them. So, I was right about the Packers going after J.J. Watt. I've always thought it would be good. J.J. Watt made it clear that he's not happy in Houston anymore. He's done. And, I just think it's a match made in heaven. He's always wanted to play for the Packers. He was a Packer fan growing up. He's from Wisconsin. He went to Wisconsin College. The Packers need an edge rusher. He's the perfect piece. He can elevate Gary and Clark. I think it's a perfect fit. So I was wrong about